Yo guys, it's Elprocesso here, and this is just footage of me biking. But I decided to tell you guys what college I'm going to. How I applied, why I chose the school I did, why I didn't choose the other schools, the decisions I got. I'm being very open. So the first school I decided to apply to was Temple because it's close. Fun basketball games. It's in Philly, and it's a pretty good school. And it's also a very condensed campus. Like I would only be walking 5 to 10 minutes the longest, which I like. I like schools with a lot to do, but they're also smaller area. Temple definitely is both. Penn State's a good school with huge football and hockey games, and it's just a big school in general. There's always stuff to do there. The one thing I didn't really like was how big the school was by area. It's like 8 temples at least. Pitt had football, basketball. My brother went there, and it's a good school. It's a little, yeah. So my bad. Delaware is it's a good school and it's close. And it has a pretty campus. Syracuse is a good school, a pretty campus. Huge basketball, but the con was it's a lot more money than the other public universities. Then the last school, the first five I applied to was University of Rhode Island. It was a kind of safety school. It's not a bad school, but it's huge basketball games. Well, their basketball team's really good. Uh, and and then I can take the train there. I like trains. I like sports. Sorry. So yeah, it kind of had both. Then when I visited Penn State, one of my professors the same week, one of my distant relatives was visiting a slightly less distant relative who worked at Penn State, but this professor works at University of Minnesota. If that makes sense. The University of Minnesota professor was visiting his dad, who was a Penn State professor, and he kind of talked me into Minnesota, and it sounded great. It's a good school, but it's not ridiculously good. Like I didn't apply to Harvard or UNC or Duke. Like I was real with myself. Like I could also get in. It's huge football, basketball, hockey games. Maybe not as big as say Wisconsin or Michigan or Ohio State, but still big games. Then UVM, Vermont, because I went big hockey games, big basketball games, and there's a lot of skiing. I went skiing that weekend and I loved it. I was like, yo, what if I could just ski every weekend? I applied to this college after November 1st, like maybe late December, early January. So yeah, now we're gonna go back to about November 15th ish. And Pitt came back, might have been my first choice at the time, and they asked for my mid-year grades, and I was like, oh, instead of letting me in, they needed my mid-year grades. That was kind of a bummer, but my grades were pretty good at the time. And then the next school, then about a month later, the Temple's Dean of Admissions came to our school, and I got in, and they gave me money, which was big, because Temple's not a cheap school, and so giving money definitely is a leverage point. Delaware, also I got in, and they gave me a bit of money, which was good. I wasn't a big fan of the lack of sports, though. It didn't feel like there was as much to do, say. Not that I would get bored, but my battery's running low. I hope I don't F this up. Penn State, I got in. But there was two caveats. A, I applied to the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences, but I really wanted to go to the College of Liberal Arts. And B, I would need to spend the summer there. There, I'm wearing a Hockey Valley shirt. I timed that perfectly. Not really. And then UMN, Minnesota, they waitlisted me. And that was like, okay, I got into Penn State and Delaware, which are just as good and way closer. Is there really point? And Temple, too, even though it might not be as good. Is there really point going to Minnesota? So I was like, okay. At this point, I'll wait on Pitt. But I'm probably gonna go to Penn State. It's about time I should probably apply to the College of Liberal Arts, because I called them and they said I wouldn't get into business school, which was my end game. But okay, I can do something with an economics degree from Penn State. So yeah, and then about a week after that, Minnesota got me off the wait list and I got in, which is really rare to get off the wait list. Period. period. I was pretty happy, but I was like also like, is there really point? You know, it's good to have. I just jumped to the. There's like a point in this island by the beach. Some of you might know where it is. Longport, New Jersey. Sorry. And then I was in the car and I saw an email. I wasn't driving. There's Penn State, and poor Penn State, they didn't let me into their liberal arts school, and you know, I would have to spend the summer, and I would have to transfer colleges to do anything. I was like, I just didn't see it as worth it. And that actually same day, like maybe a couple hours later at most, Vermont, I got in, and they gave me a lot of money, and I thought this was the same price as the other out-of-state schools, but it wasn't. It was like 12K more, and they gave me about 12K, and it was just like, it's not a better school than Delaware. It's not a. It's just as. It's probably as good as Temple, but it's so much further and it's so much colder. And then, so at this point, pretty much, it's like probably Pitt. If I get in, I'm going to Pitt. But stupid Pitt, they waitlisted me. Wow, they thought my brother was better than me. Screw that school. They made me submit my waitlist. They made me work my ass off for my mid-degree only to waitlist me. And then I was like, okay, why not check out Minnesota? Because that's probably the best school other than it and Delaware are probably about tied. So I was like, okay, why not just apply for a scholarship to some of these schools? I got in, and then about a week later, I got into Syracuse, but they didn't give me money. It was like, okay, we'll gladly take $270,000 from you. That's what I got from that. But I did actually get the money, and I decided to tour it. There's my Penn State shirt. I got the money, and it was also like a little bit cheaper than the other. It was already like about the same price as the money I got with Temple, if I didn't get any money from Minnesota. But I got about $6,000 and a year. That's $6,000 a year, and it was like, okay, this was much cheaper, and it's just as good, if not better, than the other schools I'm considering. Like, I'm pretty excited to tour it, and I loved it, and that's where I'm gonna be next year. I did not think, you know, a month ago I was gonna go, but man, I loved it. So yeah, University of Minnesota, class of 2022. My current major is quantitative economics. Can't wait for this year. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like or subscribe button. Peace.